Okay, this is Tuesday evening. The sun's almost down. I'm just getting started. Probably not going to get much done today. I hope to get that welded, and then these corners welded, and that'll probably be it as far as that goes. And then I'm going to mess with the dashboard a bit. Again, that'll be on another video. Okay, another late start as usual, but I had to take care of the Jeep first. Quick little project. So on that thing, the entire time I've owned it, the heater has never blown hot. It's blown tepid, lukewarm at best. And the higher you run the fan, or the faster you run the fan, the cooler it runs. So I went through everything, I flushed it out. It was flowing coolant through it, or throwing water through it. Thermostat, I put a higher degree thermostat in. I was running a 180. Nothing. Fixed it. And Christy's going to be driving it here pretty quick. She's going to have a heater. I'd like to have a heater sometimes. I mean, it was 23 degrees the other night when I drove home. But I digress. So I ran the temperatures on the hoses with a pyrometer, infrared thermometer, and I was getting about a 40-degree drop between hoses. Now, I don't know what's acceptable, but I mean, that was the last thing I can do. I checked the blend door, I checked the blend door actuators, I checked all that stuff. So I decided to flush it again, and putting the garden hose up to it. Water went right through it, but a bunch of nasty black brown sludge came out of it, and some chunks, and there was pretty significant resistance on the hose, and it was spraying out around the end. So I just kept doing it and got my air nozzle out and blew through it. I didn't blow through it under full force, but still just kept going back and forth until the water absolutely flowed clean every time. And I left everything full of water. I left the heater core full of water. I didn't blow it out. Hooked it all back up, topped off the antifreeze, and I've got heat now. So whether whatever that sludge was enough to plug it, or maybe it had an air bubble in it. It was airlocked. I don't know. But I still have roughly the same temperature drop. Maybe a little less, but now I've got 140 degrees coming out of the vents, and it's blowing hot. Anyway, so back to work on the Rambler here. I need to clean it up. I'm a little lost, I'm a little overwhelmed. I kind of had a plan for what I was going to do, but I am very tired. I don't want to say I'm getting burned out. I'm not really getting burned out. I just don't want to do it. I need to get back here and start working. I still need to put some pieces up here. I can do that later. I need to get on all this stuff over here. I need to fix that. I need to fix that along the bottom. I need to fix these corners over here and all this. I need to get this piece over here in the corners. I need to test fit the back seat, because I got to figure out which seat I'm going to run. I want to run the Honda seats, but I might not be able to with these fender wells protruding so far. Regardless of any of that, I need to get all this out of here. I'm going to save this one big chunk here, probably this chunk, and maybe those long pieces, but all the other stuff, all these little pieces, maybe I'll save that one. Need to go and get rid of that piece of plastic. Get rid of the bags. I mean, all this crap. I could put the tools away because I don't really need many of them. I need a 10 millimeter. I need a 12 millimeter. I need a 1/2 inch and maybe a 9/16. I'm going to need a 7/16 and a 3/8 to work on the front. One thing I would like to do is go through this whole thing and swap out as much of the hardware as I can with metric. That way everything on the car is metric, instead of having to go back and forth like the Jeep. Half of that's metric, half of it's SAE. Anyway, I'm gonna get started while I still have the energy to stand, so I'm gonna get busy. All right, so playing with the back seat here a little bit. In the middle portion, I think will work okay. Obviously, it's sitting at a steeper angle than factory, but even if I had to do something like this, I can do it, and I'm not worried about it. I'm thinking it's gonna get cut back to about here, though, in order for it to sit where it's supposed to. There are braces here, so I don't know. This looks like if I were to cut these off, and then I might have to trim down here, these might go. So, God. Yeah. So I would probably, I would definitely have to trim that. And I would probably trim this to fit everything else. I mean, realistically, if I had to leave that there and just carpet it, it's not the end of the world. And even then, I could probably cut the top part of that off. But I think I can make that work somehow. Now, the biggest problem is down here. So this needs to go all the way back, because you see that screw loop goes there and that screw hole. So it has to go all the way back. And it's not going to go all the way back because it's hitting here. So, I could cut that off maybe and fit this under it, which I don't think would be ideal. Or I could really get creative and come in here, pull all these hog rings off, take the rod or the wire, whatever you want to call it, it's in here, cut it, and bring it in here. I have to weld it, and do it without catching it all on fire, but come around like that. I think I could, and then stretch this back over and re-hog ring it. I think that could be made to fit. I mean, realistically, I should probably pull all this upholstery off and make it fit first, and then put the upholstery back on, but I don't even think I have to do all of that. But it needs to go back about 8 inches or so. And so I'm thinking about right here to about right here. And of course, all this stuff needs to get shampooed, but I just wanted to get an idea of where we're at. I did find some 2-door sill plates, and it looks like they go back to about here, and then they start kind of going up. Or at least, the coupe door panel, I think, started there about yay far back. So at the very least, they'll disappear here, and then I don't think you'll see them much. They're tan, but I don't care too much about that. And I don't know. They're way far away. So I don't know how much they'd be shipped. We'll see. I'm also working on trying to get the CRV HVAC unit so I can continue working on that. Today I didn't get a whole lot done. I did get this all cleaned out and vacuumed, got the glass and the metal up off the floor. I got some of the screws and nuts and bolts organized. I just kind of had a wild hair and wanted to get a look at that. There was something else I wanted to do that I wanted to weld. And I can't think of what it was. That's all done for now. Yeah, I don't know what it was. Oh, fenders. I was going to go buzz those fenders apart. I might go do that right now real quick. It's sunset. It's actually really pretty out here. Ooh. So there's the moon. M-O-O-N. That spells moon. Yeah, let me go buzz that apart real quick before it gets too dark. All right, kind of had a little bit of a wild hair. Hung the white fenders on it. I realize I need to come down a bit here. So I need to cut about right at the top of these bolts here. Cut this off, cut it off back there, and I can probably use this chunk of metal and just weld it to there, and that'll give me a shelf to attach the valance panel. And then I'll have to trim it down along the bottom, of course. I need to do something with the radiator and the condenser, but I don't have to deal with it right now. I don't have to do any of this right now. I just kind of wanted to see where we were. I was afraid I was going to have to really work on the inner fender parts, but they actually were sitting right where they needed to be. I just need to attach them. One thing, I can't show it to you, but that's a problem, is I didn't realize that that portion was plated on the bottom the whole way. So it is sitting right on the top of the strut nut in the center, which is encased in rubber and it flexes. So the way it is right now, if I hit a bump, it's going to pound into the bottom of that and rattle. There's no way for me to get inside there to mess with it. I could possibly pull the strut, and if I had a plasma cutter, get in there that way, but I think I can get to it from the top. I can cut a hole in the top, cut a hole going down into it, and then at least the nut will have some place to move into without rattling. But that, again, can be done later. This is a problem. So what's going on here, the back of the hood is boxed hinges right there. I don't want to modify the hood, but it's hitting where I just plated the cowl. So I think what I need to do is get it with the torch and then dimple it for clearance. I don't need very much, but if I want this to sit right, adjustment wise, we're almost there. I need to get on the end there and kind of open it up a little bit, but again, that's another day. I need to pick up my mess here and get back inside, but yeah, this is as far as I got today. All right, I never really accomplished crap today. The sun's going down. I did get these trimmed, and I just got them welded up in about the right position. I need to drag that seat bottom over to the Rambler seat bottom and see if I can't figure out exactly where to cut it, and then I'll go ahead and do that and see if it'll squeeze in there. But first I'm gonna see about this lower valance. I'm still working with the green one because I don't want to start cutting on the white one until I'm sure where it's gonna sit. Well, it's hung, kinda. Just to shoot my screws again. This side, for whatever reason, seems to stick out a little bit too far. And I'm not 100% sure if it's not just the whole side of the car, like somehow the car's been Z'd, or if it's just because there's so much damage on this thing that it's got some kind of a permanent curve to it, which is probably what it is. But I've got it centered, I'm pretty sure, going off of this joint right here, roughly half an inch, and then this is actually almost where it needs to go, and it doesn't line up right either. It might line up on this corner, but it doesn't line up on that corner. So that could be, again, more damage. Could be differences too, 61 versus 62. You know, you see here, this is sticking out. See, I think these actually need to come out on the front. right? No, that needs to go in. And this needs to go in as well. Looking at that first bolt hole there, and then the hole underneath. Yeah, see, it needs to come in. I don't know, we'll see. Really quick here before it gets too dark, I'm gonna go over and try to buzz the bumper bracket bolts out of that, because you have to separate the two halves of the bumper bracket in order to get it out of the valance, because one part goes through here and one part goes through there. So let me go do that real quick. Okay, got it. Now, as you can see, this is much straighter. And you can see these are all flat here. As a matter of fact, there's even sealer. I'm 99.9% sure this has never been apart. That one's a little raised, but I don't think that's a problem. So, one thing I did notice interesting is these bolt holes you can see are just a round bolt hole, and somebody has drilled a hole out next to it, obviously, probably because of damage, you know. But you look at this part, remember, 61, 62. These holes are all factory elongated, except for, yeah, no, that one too. All of them. See? So there's supposed to be a filler panel that goes in here on the Rambler, and I might use it. Yeah, I might use it. That's down the road. I'm not really worried about it right now. See, that's pretty interesting. So here, the bolt spacing obviously is tighter in there. This is the fender edge. You can kind of see here in the dirt. Fender edge, and this is the filler panel that goes on those two bolt holes. Yep, and these, I believe, are grill, maybe? Or maybe they're not even used. There's a little spot there. It almost looks like this opening is even bigger, because I had to cut that one out. It might not be, I don't know. To come over here. This is in pretty good shape. I mean, it's fair condition, I guess, as far as it goes. Compared to that one, though, it's in pretty good shape. It's pretty wavy down here on the bottom. It's got some damage. It's got quite a little bit on that corner, but this is pretty wavy right here, but I'm pretty sure all this is going to get cut out to about here. And then I can straighten the rest of it out anyway, because you won't be able to see it underneath there anyway. You'll be able to see the bottom of the radiator, which I'm hoping to be able to move that up enough that it won't be seen below the thing anymore. I don't know. Again, that's down the road. I got so many other things to do on this first. And then the bumper, if I remember correctly, I got a pretty good smuck there. But the bumper brackets go through these notches, right where that horn is. So, I'll have to get creative on that. What I'll probably have to do is make something come out of the bottom of the Honda frame horn to a flat plate, like come out and then have another piece, like let's say box tubing, welded in there, and then have another piece of box tubing bolt through, and then it has a plate on it, and then the Rambler bumper brackets welded to that plate or to that box tubing, however, and then it can be just taken out, you know, with those bolts, probably through the sides, but, you know, however, we'll see. That's something to think about down the road. It's not important right now. There used to be a rubber cover there. That's interesting. We want that open anyway for brake cooling. I'm planning on running Moon disc hubcaps, so that's going to affect brake cooling. I don't want it to affect brake cooling, but I don't want to see front-wheel drive wheels on this thing either. Okay. One thing I am planning on doing, I've made the decision, is, taking all this out, radiator, condenser, getting all of it out of the way, and building a new kind of framework out of the angle iron that everything will fit into nicely, but it's also going to be pushed back about 2 inches. Because while I've got this all in there and it's kind of working now, obviously this is so bent up, the grill is probably going to hit these. And I really want the condenser to be almost touching the radiator. So we'll see. This is going to go get put away so it doesn't get damaged. And then I've got to clean up my mess. I need to go put the drill on the charger because I keep forgetting to do it. I was able to get enough out of it tonight to get those screw holes drilled. Okay. Well, that's it for this video. Pretty lean this week. I haven't been feeling great, but I did get something accomplished. I got a couple big things done, but anyway, next week, I really hope to get on some other things. So I have been able to find and have purchased the CRV HVAC controls. Before I start modifying the dashboard to fit them, though, I need to make darn sure that they're going to work. I think they will. I've looked at what schematics I could get on them. If I could figure out a pinout on it, that would give me more confidence, but I'm taking a chance. They weren't super expensive, but right now $20 is $20. Any little bit is a lot. But when I get them, I'll compare the pins and the wires as much as I can, and then I'll go from there to swapping the pins over, making sure that the unit is compatible and that everything works with it. And then once that's done, boom, we start cutting on the dash and making it fit the CRV controls. So there's that. I've also ordered in a couple bags of bolts and nuts in 8mm by 125 to replace the fender bolts, get rid of the weird kind of, I don't even know what you'd call them. They're a really weird bolt that Rambler used for the fenders. These are just a regular bolt. That's part of what I was saying before. I want to convert everything to metric. And I've got plenty of 6mm bolts, so I can get rid of all the 3/8 ones, or the 3/8 head 1/4 inch bolts. But that's, for another time. So that's it for this video. I'll get back on this ASAP next week. I got work tomorrow and over the weekend. So that's it. Good night. Like and subscribe, please. Talk to you later.